Yeah, maybe. Okay. All right.
All right.
Let's get rolling. So, I'd like to call to order the June 1st, 2020 Water and Sewer Commission meeting. We're doing a remote meeting and we're starting at approximately 6:30. No, as a matter of fact, 6:35. And so, Commissioners Public Forum. Is anyone out there who wants to speak up? Anything to say? No?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, all right. Let's get right into the warrants abatement approvals as needed. We'll start with the minutes of the water and sewer meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from March 9th, 2020 as printed.
I'll second.
I'll second it. Okay.
Okay, we got a motion in a second. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, and all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
No, you have to roll call.
All
We're
votes
gonna-
have to be
We're
roll
gonna
call.
Roll call. Okay, roll call. Gagner.
Gagner, aye.
Yeah, Jen, Vaughn,
Vaughn, aye.
Dave Cantwell,
Yeah, aye.
Russ Jennings.
Jennings, aye.
Okay, Rob Lemansky, aye, and it is Paul Gagner. Sorry, Paul. Okay. All right, so that's done. What do we got for warrants, Mr. Jennings?
All right, so I make a motion to accept the warrants dated 6/1/2020 as follows. Commissioner's salary, $400. WB Mason, $8.76. Viola, $1,400. Viola, $600. Franklin Electric, $984.65. KD Tapping and Testing LLC, $600. DC Engineering and Survey, $4,260. Beta, $5,323.29. Beta, $3,939.31 for a grand total of $17,516.01.
All right, do I have a second on those?
I'll second.
Okay, and a discussion.
I got a question on that Franklin Electric, 2 6-inch risers. What are they?
Those are for grinder pumps located at the police department and the library. They're grinder pumps, whether they're just over time, the ground around them is getting built up. Rather than regrading their landscape, it's easier just to buy that 6-inch riser, put it in place so that the surface water doesn't run into their grinder pumps.
Okay.
Okay. While we're still on the rises, would this be something we would do for a homeowner? If the homeowner's pump started to either sink in the ground or the ground started to build up, would we do this for a homeowner?
If they wanted to purchase it, sure. We wouldn't install it.
Okay, so, well, are we purchasing and installing this for $984, the two of them?
We'll purchase it and pass the cost of it on. Yes, we'll probably install it because it won't be a lot of labor to do so, but
Okay,
we'll
so,
pass the cost on for each riser to the library and to the police station.
okay, to the town.
You mean $984 is just for the risers only?
Yes.
Are these cylindrical risers, 36 inches diameter, or what type of risers are they?
They're made to fit the pump chamber for the grinder pumps, so they're specific. It's not a cement riser. It's plastic that gets bolted on and is sealed.
And it's kind of a proprietary thing then.
Yes, definitely.
Exactly, Paul, and those are the things we'd like to stay away from. For the simple reason is because I'm assuming, Peter, all these things are is just a plastic circle.
Correct, with the correct bolt holes to line up and get bolted into place with probably a rubber gasket to seal it as well.
Yeah, but they're over $490 each.
Yes.
A ton of dough.
Yep.
Well, Again, we need them. I would look into making sure that if we need them again, we try to come up with something else. But anyways, any other questions? I guess, and Peter, just a quick recap of the beta. This is part of the contract for work that they did over at Buffum's.
Correct. This is for the ongoing site work, engineering work they're doing down at Buffum's. This includes the flagging the wetlands, doing some survey work, and they're starting to work on the site plan, again, as we'll talk about later. And all these funds get reimbursed from the grant.
Okay, and in the check valve on North Sturbridge Road, that's for when the pump pumps it up the hill, and then when it pumps shuts off the check valve, then make sure that it doesn't come flying back. Is that what that's about?
Yes.
Okay. And all right, that's again, I know there's quite a bit of topography there as far as that line goes, so I guess it's involved. All right, any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, Peter, can you tell me the Stevens Park Road erosion mitigation plan? Is that, I know it's billed on here and it's already been approved. Have you gotten that back yet?
As far as quotes to do the work?
No, as far as the plan itself that they came up with.
Yes. No,
Yeah,
that
okay.
I got the plan back. I believe I forwarded it out to you guys a while ago. It's actually been through conservation. It's all approved. I'm waiting to get 3 quotes from 3 local contractors to actually perform the work. And I'll hopefully have that by the end of the month.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, all right, got a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Roll call?
Roll call. We'll start with Mr. Gagnon.
Gagnon, aye.
Okay, Mr. Jennings.
Jennings, aye.
Jen Vaughn,
Vaughn, I.
Mr. Cantwell,
Cantwell, aye.
and Lemansky, aye. Okay. Very good. The next item is, do we have any warrants or abatements? Which is it?
No abatements.
No abatements?
No abatements.
And so this is it as far as warrants, is just what we just did?
Yes.
Okay. All right. New business, commissioners' acknowledgement and thank you. All right, who are we acknowledging and thanking?
Yourself and Mrs. Vaughn for your service for the last, again, for yourself, I believe it's been 12 years, and for Mrs. Vaughn for 3 years.
Okay,
Seeing neither one of you have pulled papers, that doesn't mean that you might not still get elected as a write-in candidate, but just in case you don't, I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you for your time and your service to the town in fulfilling this role. And if you happen to do a write-in campaign and we see you again in a few weeks, then we'll see you then. But just in case that doesn't happen.
Jen, thank you for your service.
And thank you for yours.
I know, and I'm not going to be a James Brown. I'm not coming back. So, it's it, done. And again, I appreciated the time on the board, and again, it was fulfilling. Okay.
Well, we appreciate your time, Rob, and
Thank you.
you know, good to know that audience level participation is going up now that you'll be watching every meeting from home.
Yeah.
It may double.
Be careful, I may be in the audience rather than watching.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't like these Zoom meetings. Way too easy to attend.
Okay, so moving on, we get vacations. What vacations? I don't know. What is a vacation?
What is it? We've been on one for 3 months.
Okay, yeah.
Looking to carry over a week's vacation till next fiscal year. I have the time to carry over, and rather than try and use it now, I'll just try to wait and see what happens next year.
I'd like to entertain a motion for that, to allow this to happen. And this is, I know we've done this in the past with Steve. So I guess basically, am I correct, Peter? You just haven't used all your vacation time and you want to carry it forward.
Correct, and it's allowed under the personnel bylaw for non-union personnel to carry over 1 week.
Yeah, subject to
Per year. Subject to your approval.
All right, do I hear a motion? Hearing no motion, sorry, Peter.
All right, I'll make a motion to allow Peter to carry his vacation time over past the 1st of July, which should be next fiscal year, of course, for one week's time.
I'll
Okay, do I
second.
have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we've got a first and a second. Any discussion on this? All right, hearing none, we'll roll call. Ms. Vaughn?
Vaughn, I.
Mr. Cantwell?
Cantwell, aye.
Mr. Jennings?
Jennings, aye.
Mr. Gagnon?
Gagnon, aye.
And Lemansky, aye, so it's unanimous. Okay,
And again, also in the memo, the clerical union does not have this clause in their agreement for their personnel to be able to carry over a year. But the Board of Selectmen negotiated with the clerical union and has allowed those members to carry over 1 week this year. So Sue is also asked to do so. I said, in talking to HR, they said the department head would approve them. So I approved her week to carry over as well. So hopefully you don't have any objection to that.
okay, so that's done by the department head, Peter?
Correct.
Okay, again, without objection.
No,
All right.
just wanted to, again, keep you informed of what's
All right,
happening.
do I hear any objections? Hearing none, then fine.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Whoops, I just dropped my agenda. Okay, data is the next item.
Yes. So Beta has been moving forward with the attached preliminary access road for the design of the public water supply wells at Buffalo. The proposed plan does include lowering the elevation at the well field by approximately 20 feet and also filling in some of the lower areas where the access road will go. Beta is currently completing a cut and fills analysis to determine how much excess material we will have. When this plan is complete, we will go ahead and submit it to the planning board for site plan approval, which will give us the ability to actually perform the access road work. And once we get that approval, Beta should be able to put something together for us to actually go out to bid and see how much this work will actually cost us. Another part of what Beta is going to be designing once this is complete is the access from our property to get to our current infrastructure. And they're going to start working on that fairly soon. So that'll be the next step once they get this somewhat completed.
All right, Peter, what do you mean by that?
By what?
Access you're talking about?
From Bufferville to the closest point of the existing water line.
So the route that they would take to get the water line from our property to up by the schools to our current
I
infrastructure.
recall that discussion, which would deal with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Correct. So I kind of want to get that done as soon as possible as well, so we can present that to the DEP, the Army Corps of Engineers, and make sure that, again, as we're moving forward, we don't develop this site with no way to get the water to our current infrastructure. So.
Okay, all right, which would be saving considerable distance if we're able to acquire that easement from the Army Corps.
Right, correct. If they allow us to go over their property, yes.
Otherwise, we'd have to go out in the street and follow the street.
Or so, correct. We'll be able to go up their driveway a little bit and then across ways to Oxford Road.
Okay. Anything else on Beta?
No, that's kind of where we're at now, but the work is still in progress. This grant for this FY20 scope of work is intended to be fiscal year and was supposed to expire on June 30th. But because of the coronavirus, the DEP has allowed us to extend it to October 31st and still work under the same grant. So that extension has been granted, so it pretty much gives us 4 additional months to continue this scope of work and getting it done.
And so that works obviously in our favor.
Well, most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody got any questions on that?
You said that they're going to give us a yardage calculation?
Correct. They're doing that now. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you see the profile on the second page, you can see where they're looking to cut the 20 feet.
Yep.
There really isn't much fill from what I could see from the profile. So it'll be interesting to see with how much material we have left over and again, try and use that excess material for when we go out to bid as a negotiating tool to try and get the contractor in to do the work for less money because they're going to be getting possibly the excess fill.
Yep.
Again, again, once the design is done, we can see what's there for additional fill and maybe talk to some other departments in town and see if any department has a need for that material. But we'll have to kind of bounce that around once we know how much we're actually going to have and what's going on there.
Sure.
All sounds good. So anything else with Beta? That's it, Peter, with Beta?
Yes, that's all for me with Beta.
Okay. All right. Moving on to old business is the water line construction upgrade. Was that?
So ExxonMobil finally started working a couple weeks ago, I guess now. This will be their second week, so they started last Monday. If you're down in the school area on Oxford Road, you'll see that they started in the school driveways with the reclaiming process for the road work. So they got all those roads reclaimed. They working on finished grading today and tomorrow. They're going to be start the reclaiming process on Oxford Road possibly tomorrow, and they should be out there paving by week's end on Friday. So the structures most of the structures have been lowered throughout the school on Morton Station Road and I believe Old Mugget Hill Road. So that's going to be where they're going to start the reclaiming process and then start putting the base pavement in. So that's taking place now.
What were they doing at Bond Road today, Peter?
They were just installing another lateral. That's where they had the fire hydrant on the wrong side.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So they switched the fire hydrant to the other side. I'm not sure if I think they installed another lateral over there.
Okay.
So they were digging there, and then they had to backfill it with flowable fill. So that's why it's plated for the night for the flowable fill to set up before they pave. So that should be cleaned up tomorrow.
I happened to be over at the middle school yesterday, and it looks great.
Yes.
That they've done. Now, Peter, are they planning on, once the asphalt's down, are they going to go back to where they're presently storing the loamy material? Are they going to be screening that and putting it back?
I'm not sure about that off the top of my head, what they're going to use to back up the road. If they're going to, my guess is they'll have to dress it with something, yes. Because it was previously, they're going to have to put the berm in place.
Right.
And then once the berm is in place, probably go back and loom and seed the edges from the berm out, just like how it was.
Right. Well, again, sometimes contractors feel it's 6 or a half dozen. Do you spend the money to screen and then put it back, or do we just buy it already screened and put it in and end up doing less physical work and end up saving?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, that's going to be all based on what their contract with ExxonMobil calls for. I'm not sure if it calls to reuse what was there or if they get paid per yard for new.
Okay.
I don't know. Again, off the top of my head, I don't know what they were carrying for quantities for loom and seed.
Okay. The pump stations, Baypath and Masonic, what's the status on those?
They are still finalizing the startup procedures. Once those are done, they're going to go ahead and get the final site visit completed so they can do the test start and then get it going.
Okay. I don't know. Well, I think we do. I would suggest that as for Route 169, that both for Baypath and the Masonic Home, that we have the keys to access those in case of emergency.
Yes.
The pump stations.
I will follow up on that.
Okay, there'd be 3 sets then. So
Yes.
how has the pump station been working down on 169?
Very well. I haven't heard anything different. So
right, and also through SCADA, you're able to see that operation from the office, correct?
correct. You see tank levels, you can see pH, chlorine residual, and you can see which pumps come on and when.
Wow, that's good.
So yeah.
So there have been no issues?
No, not that I know of.
And Peter, has there been any, or has there been less hammering within the system?
I haven't heard. I know I haven't seen a full report on what on how that's actually turned out since they opened up the H. Putnam Road
Okay.
cross. I don't believe it's helped a tremendous amount.
Okay, well, maybe when the new loop gets turned on, that may help.
Yeah.
Has there been any, or have you seen any testing over at the north side road area for the HTTMs?
I did ask Steve Gregoire that, and he said they were sampling as normal, and they haven't seen any increase. I think the ground temperature is still cold enough right now that it's not a great
Correct.
concern, but they are watching for that.
Okay, okay. All right. I know it's for me, I always thought it would be a concern because there's less flow on North Side Road now because
Right.
whether it's a quarter, half, or 2/3 that now just go up Route 20 from it's H. Putnam Road, correct?
Correct, but they don't have that fully open. That's valved.
That's
I'm not
right,
sure
yes.
how many turns they have it. So it's not like all the flow is short circuiting up H. Putnam. It's probably, there's still probably a certain amount coming through North Side as well.
Right. And that can be adjusted at any time depending on the outcome of those tests.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any other questions on the water system, water line construction? I guess the last one I got, Peter, do they have a date to when those pump stations are going to come online? Especially
No. No, I wish I had a date to give you. We are very close. I know they're passing the startup procedures back and forth, and they're just about ready to finalize them, and they should be on fairly soon.
Okay, but it seemed, I think that the last meeting was that all on the same page, that Masonic Home is going to get started first.
Yeah, Masonic Home is definitely the priority, yes.
Okay, so, all right, so then all the water will be flowing down Ulster Road, Walton Station, then up the hill, to the center, and then to Masonic.
I think they'll start Masonic Home Road without actually activating the entire school loop at this point, just to start it and make sure there's no problems with the pump station, and then possibly flush and activate the school loop once they know the pump station's operating correctly.
Okay, because obviously the schools are closed, they're not opening until minimum late August, September. So it's imperative that in order for Ulster Road and Morton Station get turned on, that water is going to have to be flowing to Masonic Home to keep that water fresh.
Most definitely. Yeah. And then again, I think the impetus to turn on the school will be when Albany starts doing the actual service connections, which they're finalizing that contract with ExxonMobil at this point. So once that service contract gets finalized and they start actually working on that, is probably when you'll see the school loop start to get activated, so they can go ahead and make that happen.
Perfect.
When does the clock start ticking for people to connect? Not
until Albany's is done with all of. I'll have to follow up on that. They have a 1 year grace period from when the construction is done.
So from when the final is done, all pump stations are hooked up, running, everything's tested, yes. Operational. Yes. That's the year.
Yeah, I believe so. The year has not started yet. So once that clock starts ticking, we will be letting people know every month or so what's happening.
And that's a date that's agreed to, and everyone says, "Yep, we're all done. We're finished. This is starting that 1 year clock."
Correct. That is in the town's agreement with ExxonMobil. So I'll review that and see exactly what the parameters are for that date to start, clocks to start ticking, just so we're all on the same page, and make sure that when that 1 year time frame starts, that everyone's aware of it.
Okay, and then we can work on notification of people on that line. And
yep, definitely. I know ExxonMobil's been doing a few mailings also in the last 2 to 3 months, probably maybe 6 to 8 weeks, to the residents who abut it, trying to get them to commit to connect again. So we've been getting some phone calls at the office asking questions and stuff like that. So they're starting to, again, make the push to get the residents to connect as well.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else on the water leak? Okay. All right, other business unknown at the time of posting. Any other business? I do want to make the point of our contract with Albany / ExxonMobil is that the town has authority of the surplus materials, and it's what I did find it in the contract, was pointed out to me. So that's still something that's hanging. I don't know if we want to, if we have any use for that material or not. So it's going to be interesting this September if the elementary school does open. And I see the Methodist Church just seal coated their driveway and lined it. It looks beautiful. But they're going to need all those lines because I believe many parents are not going to let their kids get on the bus, that they will be driving them to the elementary school. And if they're driving them to the elementary school, the only place for them to park is at the Methodist Church, walk the kids in. So it's going to be interesting to see that, to where, I know for me, I've always had the thought that the town should be working on a driveway exit from the Burlingame School, out the back, down below by the football field and out. And that material would work perfectly there. We'll see what the new selectmen do. So I just wanted to make that comment. Anybody else have anything on new business? Any other? Okay. Peter, do you have anything?
I do not, no.
You do not. Okay, and we've gone through all of our things that we needed to go through here for the meeting, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, Russ, you look a little antsy. You got anything?
Well, just as far as the next date goes, do you want to say 2 weeks and then we can always reschedule?
Well, 2 weeks was what we had scheduled before, but that's the annual town meeting would be on the 15th.
Okay.
And we have another one scheduled for 2 weeks after that, which would be the 29th. So we can either wait till the 29th and welcome what we might have for possible new board members, or we can try and go in between and do one on the 22nd.
Let's do the 22nd.
Do the plan on the 22nd?
Yeah.
I think that will most likely be another Zoom meeting just like tonight.
Unfortunately, true.
Yep. And then
There goes your last one.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
So,
I know.
and that'll start with welcoming the new members and also probably reorganize and all that typical housekeeping stuff, and then jump into typical business as usual. So.
Yep. Okay. Good.
Great.
Well,
Jen,
again, thank you, Jen, for working with us, and thank you, Rob.
thank you. Jen, any last statements or anything?
No, just thank you to everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I do have I have a request of the commission to file some documents as part of the minutes of the meeting. And this has to do with what happened to me personally over 3 years ago with Debbie LaPlaca in the Worcester T&G. And what I'd like to file, if the commission doesn't have a problem, is I would like to file with the commission for the official minutes is the statement from, and again, just the background, this is the Sunday front page article that LaPlaca accused me and Mr. Elliott, a former commissioner and chairman, of being involved in trying to deceive the town by putting in an illegal sewer line. And there were 4 articles in the newspaper, and lawsuits followed after that. The key thing I want to point out is that the town, from those newspaper articles, they themselves decided that based on the newspaper articles, they wanted to spend $5,000 to hire a auditor to go through everything to verify what was in the newspaper. So they hired this company, I believe it's called Melanson Heath, out of New Hampshire, and a Mr. John Sullivan was the fellow who did that. And out of that, what the town also, with the help of town attorney, they notified the AG's office, the district attorney's office, in ethics of all this. And all I want to do is make sure that what's on file as part of the minutes of this meeting is the fact that the local district attorney's office determined that they would not be doing anything on this case. The Attorney General's office also had determined they wouldn't be doing anything on this case. And the state ethics came forward and also said that at this time, the matter does not warrant public resolution or the imposition of formal sanction. So call them whatever you call them. I call them get out of jail cards or whatever. So all 3 of those things, they said no. So one of the biggest things that, at least I think is big from my point of view, is Miss LaPlaca had petitioned our town administrator to get a hold of Mr. Melanson, because Mr. Melanson in his report had made a statement as far as the newspaper articles. He says, however, there are instances where the allegations are not accurate based on evidence review. And Ms. LaPlaca wrote by email to Ms. Craver, could you please have Mr. Melanson expand on that? So Mr. Melanson wrote back in an email and was quoted, is this ever going to stop? But anyways, Mr. Sullivan, Melanson, he then wrote a 3 pages of the inaccuracies by Ms. LaPlaca, and there were 8 of them that he pointed out. That's 8. So sometimes you might hear me mention the word 8. Well, that's what I'm referring to when I say 8 is 8 inaccuracies. So I want, and I will have a go in, because I wanted to make it crystal clear, because when you have people referring to you as a crook and whatever, again, it doesn't go over well, and or it doesn't settle well. So for me and my family, I'm happy that's over with. It is bittersweet leaving the board. I enjoyed the time here. I enjoyed doing what we do, and I think that, I was happy to do whatever I possibly could do with whatever, I guess, whatever attributes I have to help the town and the water and sewer department to move forward. And I hope it wasn't too much of a pain. But anyways, thank you to everybody, and it's time to move on. So, is there anything else? Anybody? Russ, anybody? All right, do we have a motion, Paul, to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Oh, there's Paul with the second. All right, we've got a motion. So we'll start with Ms. Vaughn.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Cantwell,
Cantwell, aye.
Mr. Gagnon.
Gagner, aye.
Okay, Mr. Jennings.
Jennings, aye.
Okay. And Lemansky, aye. Unanimous, and I guess it's good night, Irene. You're too young to remember that.
All right, again, Jen and Rob, thank you both for your time on the commission.
Again, thank
Thank
you, sir. All right.
Take care, guys.
All right, have a good night,
night.
everybody.
Good night.
Right on.